NBL Power Rankings Week 2 for NBL26. So the second week in the NBL is over, so let's see where I'm ranking everybody in their power ranking. It is still very early days, so a lot of these teams are very much bouncing up and down, really trying to figure out where they can end up. And considering most teams have a loss and most teams have a win, it is hard to decide who sits where. It's pretty much going off like the basis of the toughness of the wins that they have got already. But let's get into it. Melbourne United still sitting at top. They're 3-0. They're the only undefeated team that's looked really good so far. And by undefeated, I mean more than just one win. Jack Jumpers staying at number 2. They got a win against the Hawks on the weekend. They're still looking really good, really solid, even though they were missing David Johnson. The 3 spot could have gone a few different ways. I'm giving it to the Taipans. They went 2-0. Like, they kind of deserve it. They had 2 games they could have lost easily, but they did get the wins. They pulled them out both times. So I think they kind of deserve this. Then I'm putting Adelaide at 4 because they also beat the same team, but the Taipans also beat the Kings, so I feel like that kind of moves them above them right now. And then the Phoenix, they have dropped down to 5th. I do think the win over the Taipans was a bit blown out of proportion considering what the Taipans were looking like last week and the way that they did bounce back, but the Phoenix did drop a bit because they did get that loss to Melbourne United. If it was closer at the end, I don't think that I think they would have stuck around that 3 spot, but because they did kind of drop in the fourth quarter, I did drop them a little bit. But I still have them over the Wildcats, who did get a win over the Breakers. But I think a win over the Breakers isn't as impressive as like a win over the Taipans that the Phoenix said last week. So I'm kind of using that as another basis. So it's not, I don't think the Wildcats have done enough to move them up any higher. But then out of all the teams that pretty much have lost like these last week or so, Kings, they did it to themselves. I feel like their loss wasn't as bad as what the Hawks was because I think the Hawks, they had JaVale McGee covering up a lot of their weaknesses, and that loss that they had was probably a lot bigger if they didn't have JaVale on as much as they did. But I do see a world where both of those teams like bounce back and move up a bit. Brisbane Bullets, they went 0-2. They had a rough week. They're still trying to figure things out. They've also had a few more injuries, like Javon Freeman Liberty, Sam McDaniel. They don't know if they'll be returning this week. I think Javon will. I don't think Sam McDaniel will, but we will wait and see. And then the Breakers, they're just like doing Breakers things right now. I don't know how to describe it. They're struggling. Let's just say that they're struggling right now. But that's my power rankings. Where would you rank some of these teams? Because I know like a lot of this could be moved on. Like a lot of it is a bit of a coin toss right now until we get a bit more data. But yeah, let me know what you guys think.